Before Oksana Nesterenco and Amenyah could get married, they had to overcome numerous obstacles. Oksana's parents were against her marrying someone from Africa, and Ken had to relinquish any claim to the throne because he married outside of his tribe a white-skinned girl. But despite all this, they persevered for 30 years. Today, they have two lovely children. How did the couple fight for love? How did their life turn out after 30 years? And what do their kids look like today? But before we begin, don't forget to click subscribe if you want more stories in the future. Let's get started. Their story begins in 1992 when Oksana joined the College of Biology right after finishing medical school. Standing outside the Moldovan University dormitory, she held the key to her room. Nearby, she noticed foreign students chatting loudly in languages she didn't understand. One of them paused, said something to his friend, and then continued on his way. It wasn't until many years later that Oksana discovered what the foreign student had said. "That lovely girl will be my wife." When Ken started to show interest in their relationship, Oksana didn't even realize he was trying to ask her out. They both lived in the same dormitory, and every time she went into the common kitchen to cook dinner, Ken, a cheerful young man from Africa, would be there with a stack of dirty dishes. He purposely left them unwashed, just so he could have a chance to see Oksana in the kitchen. Ken was nice, attentive, and very caring, but Oksana, who grew up in a village near the Moldovan city of Soroka, wasn't immediately open to getting to know him better or going on a date. It took her best friend some time to convince her to simply have a chat with Ken. Even though her heart was already leaning towards him, her mind had doubts, thinking about differences in ways of thinking, cultures, and traditions. However, despite the challenges, emotions triumphed in this internal battle. Yet, the future husband still needed to formally meet Oksana's parents. Interestingly, one of their acquaintances had already spoken to Oksana's parents about Ken, and unfortunately, they were initially against both Ken and the idea of their daughter marrying an African man. Oksana's brother was the first to introduce Ken to the family, and his efforts helped soften their mother's stance. It appeared that she realized the seriousness of her daughter's feelings and understood that persuading her to end the relationship was unlikely. However, their father remained resistant for a longer period of time. In 1994, Ken graduated from university and moved to England, while Oksana still had 2 more years before completing her studies. However, the physical distance did not diminish their love. By 1996, Oksana boldly informed her parents that she planned to go to London for 6 weeks to study a foreign language. In reality, this was just a cover story. Over the past 2 years, Ken had worked tirelessly in multiple jobs to save up money for Oksana's visit and her language courses. However, she kept the most crucial detail from her parents. She wasn't just leaving for a short period of time. She already knew that Ken was her soulmate. The birth of their grandson Daniel eventually helped reconcile Oksana's parents with her decision to be with Ken. Finally, in 1998, Ken met Oksana's parents. From that point on, they not only accepted him into the family, but embraced him with wholehearted love. Dealing with Ken's parents was a much simpler affair when Ken, after completing his 4th year, went on vacation to Ghana and brought along a black and white photograph of Oksana. She was understandably concerned. Ghana, while a republic with an elected government, also has long-standing traditional kingdoms. Ken happened to be the eldest son and thus the heir to the throne of one such kingdom. However, marrying a girl with fair skin automatically meant relinquishing all royal privileges. Although Ken himself was prepared for this change, there was uncertainty about how his parents would react to the news. When Ken's father saw Oksana's photograph, he took a long look at it before simply stating that the girl seemed intelligent and that if his son loved her, he should marry her. Oksana was accepted into the family even without a face-to-face meeting. By the time Oksana and Ken were already married, Oksana found the courage to call her mother-in-law one day and wish her a Merry Christmas. Despite her limited English proficiency at the time, she mustered enough enthusiasm to say hello, wish a Merry Christmas, and bid farewell. Ken's mother immediately called her son back, expressing that she would pray for her new daughter. Their life together wasn't exactly glamorous right from the start. Upon Oksana's arrival in England to join her husband, the family faced significant challenges. Ken had to juggle multiple jobs simultaneously to support them while Oksana pursued her language courses. They resided in a shared apartment, where Oksana often had to wait for hours just to use the stove. On several occasions, they encountered situations at the checkout where, attempting to pay with a credit card, they realized they had insufficient funds. Ken was often exhausted, resorting to catching the bus between jobs with a sign reading, "Wake me up in Piccadilly." When their son was born, their routines revolved around specific bus stops. Ken rushed to work while Oksana returned from her shift, exchanging custody of Daniel. With no family nearby to help, they relied solely on each other. In the evenings, their roles reversed. Oksana rushed off to work, leaving Ken to take care of their sleeping son. They couldn't afford new toys, so they bought them secondhand, diligently washing and disinfecting them at home. Oksana didn't visit Ghana, her husband's homeland, until 2000 because they couldn't afford the trip before then. It wasn't until the eve of the new millennium that Ken secured a job in his field at a hospital, allowing him to stop working night shifts sorting mail and daytime shifts as a security guard. However, despite this job, their income was just enough to cover basic expenses for their family, leaving no room for travel expenses to visit Ken's relatives in Ghana. During that time, Oksana was occupied with validating her Moldovan diploma and obligated to work as a nurse without pay for 6 months. Additionally, they had to cover the expenses for their son's kindergarten. Once Oksana secured a paid nursing position, she started saving money for their long-awaited trip to Africa. In July 2000, their shared dream finally became a reality as they disembarked the plane in Ghana. Ken's parents warmly welcomed Oksana as their cherished guest, treating her with utmost respect and care. From then on, they established a tradition of celebrating Oksana's birthday in her husband's homeland. Many years have flown by since then. Today, Ken and Oksana Amenyah's family includes 2 grown sons, and they continue to reside together in England. The eldest son, Daniel, who once dreamed of professional football, received a diploma in economics and became a successful streamer. He streams international esports competitions around the world. The youngest, Jerome, decided to follow in his parents' footsteps and become a doctor, choosing neurosurgery as his specialty. Both sons of Oksana and Ken were born in London and consider Moldova and Ghana their homeland. Today, the Amenyah family lives a fairy tale life, leaving behind the hardships of financial struggles. They continue to work diligently and pursue education, firmly believing that success comes from unwavering dedication, perseverance, and faith in a positive outcome. Above all, their enduring love for each other has been their guiding light, providing strength and support through every challenge they faced. And that's all for this video, and please don't forget to click on subscribe if you want more stories in the future. Thank you for watching.